You know that moment when your baby looks at you, really looks at you. That deep, wide-eyed, completely unguarded gaze, like you are the entire world, because to them you are. And I think most parents feel that weight, that love. But here's something almost no one talks about. That same baby, the one who can't say a single word, is feeling things every single hour of every single day that you would never guess. Things that confuse them, things that scare them, things that, without you even realizing it, are quietly shaping the person they're going to become. I'm not here to scare you. I'm not here to make you feel like you're doing everything wrong, because if you're like me, you're trying. You're really trying, but trying without knowing what's actually happening underneath. That's where the gap is. And today, we're closing that gap. And by the time we reach number 5, you're going to think back to something that happened last week, and everything is going to look different. Here's what I want you to understand before we begin. Babies don't experience the world the way you think they do. They don't think in words. They don't reason. They don't logic their way through a hard moment. They feel every single thing. And the most unsettling part, the things that affect them most deeply are not the big moments, not the accidents, not the arguments you had in front of them. It's the quiet, invisible, completely normal everyday things. The things you do automatically. The things that feel harmless because nobody ever told you they weren't. There are 12 of them on this list, and I've arranged them in a very specific order because they build on each other. By the end of this, you won't just understand what to stop doing. You'll understand why your baby does the things they do, the fussiness, the clinginess, the sudden crying with no obvious reason. You'll see it completely differently. Let's start. This first one is happening in almost every home right now. And the scary part is it looks exactly like good parenting. Picture this. Your baby starts fussing. You walk over. You pick them up. You hold them against your chest. You're rocking. You're present. You're there. But in your head, you're somewhere else entirely. You're thinking about the email you didn't send, the bill you forgot to pay, the conversation that's still sitting heavy in your chest. And you think, I'm here, I'm holding them. That's what matters. And you're right, the holding matters. But here's what you don't realize. Your baby is not looking at your chest. They're looking at your face. Because your face, specifically your eyes, your forehead, the corners of your mouth is the first language your baby ever learned to read, long before words. Long before sounds. And when your body is present, but your face is somewhere else, blank, tight, distracted, your baby picks up on that mismatch instantly. And here's what's so important to understand. Babies are not confused by that mismatch. They are alarmed by it. Because to a baby's nervous system, the face and the body should match. When they don't, when you're holding them, but your eyes are empty, their brain registers, something is wrong. Something is off with the most important person in my world. And that registers as a threat, not the kind of threat you'd recognize, not crying, not screaming. Sometimes it's the opposite. A baby who goes very still, a baby who stops trying to engage, a baby who turns their face away and goes quiet in a way that doesn't feel like peace, it feels like giving up. If you're like me, you've probably had moments where you picked up your baby while you were completely overwhelmed, and they somehow got harder to soothe. This is why. Your baby wasn't reacting to being picked up. They were reacting to what they saw on your face when you did it. You can be in the room and still be absent, and your baby knows the difference every single time. Number 2 is something I think almost every parent will recognize, and it involves a moment that happens dozens of times a day. Your baby is playing. They found something, maybe something they shouldn't have. A remote, a phone, a spoon they've been gnawing on for 20 minutes, and you take it. Because of course you do. It's not safe, it's not appropriate, it's yours, and your baby completely falls apart. And your response completely naturally is, you're okay, it's just a spoon. Look, here's something better. And I want you to hold that moment for a second, because something is happening there that goes much deeper than a spoon. Your baby wasn't just attached to the object. They were practicing something enormous. They were practicing wanting something. They were practicing, this is mine, I chose this. And when it was taken, and then their reaction to that loss was dismissed, 2 things happened at once. First, the object was taken. Second, the feeling about the object was also taken. Because you're okay, however kindly, you meant it is a correction. It's saying, what you feel right now is wrong. You should not feel this. And a baby's brain, which has no capacity yet to argue with you, no words to push back, just stores that. Over and over. The thing I feel and the thing I'm told to feel are different. And over months and years, that gap becomes a habit. A habit of not trusting what's happening inside themselves, of overriding their own feelings before they've even finished feeling them. This is where emotional disconnection starts. Not in a dramatic moment, in a Tuesday afternoon with a spoon. How many times today did you tell your baby they were fine when they clearly felt like they weren't? This next one goes completely against everything your instincts are telling you to do. You know how it feels when you're holding your baby and the moment goes quiet and something in you immediately wants to fill it? You start talking, singing, making faces, introducing a toy, and I completely understand that impulse because silence with a baby can feel like something's wrong, like you're not doing enough, like a good parent should be stimulating, engaging, enriching constantly. But here's something that genuinely changed the way I think about this. Babies need silence the same way lungs need to exhale. The moments of quiet, the still ones, the calm ones, where nothing is happening, those aren't empty moments. Those are the moments where integration happens, where the baby's nervous system takes everything it just experienced and actually processes it. A baby who never gets silence is a baby whose nervous system never gets to complete a cycle. And a nervous system that can't complete a cycle stays in a permanent state of mild activation, not distressed, not calm, just always slightly wound up. And you've probably seen this baby, maybe in your own home, the one who is hard to settle, who doesn't sleep well, who seems uncomfortable in stillness. Sometimes that's not a baby with a difficult temperament. Sometimes that's a baby who has never been given enough quiet to learn how to be still, because stillness is learned, and it's learned from a caregiver who is also still, comfortable with silence, not rushing to fix it, just present, quiet, breathing. Sometimes the most powerful thing you can give your baby isn't a sound, it's the space to hear nothing. Number 4 is one that a lot of parents were specifically taught to do, and the advice sounds logical. But what it actually does to your baby is the opposite of what you think, someone told. You may be a doctor, maybe your mother, that the best way to leave your baby is quickly. Don't make a big deal of it. Don't draw it out. Just slip away while they're distracted. It avoids the drama. It avoids the crying. And in the moment, it works. They don't cry because they don't know you're gone yet. But here's what happens next. Your baby looks up from what they were doing, and you're not there, not less there. Not in another room. Gone. No warning. No goodbye. No transition. Just absence where you were. And I want you to understand what that registers as in a baby's nervous system. It's not sadness. It's not missing you. It's alarm. The person my entire safety system is built around has vanished without any signal, which means vanishing is something that can happen at any time, without warning, without reason. And the response to that isn't less anxiety. It's more vigilance, because if disappearing can happen with no cues, then the only logical response is to monitor constantly, to never fully relax, to always be checking, are you still there? Are you still there? Are you still there? This is where separation anxiety that seems excessive actually begins, not from babies who were cried over at goodbye, but from babies who were never given a goodbye at all. The crying at a real, present, acknowledged goodbye isn't damage. It's your baby's nervous system doing exactly what it's supposed to do, feeling the separation, expressing it, and then slowly, with support, learning to trust that you come back. That's the lesson worth teaching. Not goodbyes don't happen, but goodbyes are survivable, and you always come back. Has your baby ever looked up and found you gone and you thought it was better that way? I want you to sit with that for a second. This one is invisible. It doesn't look like anything, but it might be the most constant thing on this entire list. You're in a good mood. Baby's fussy, and somewhere quietly, automatically, you feel a flicker of something, frustration maybe, or just confusion. Why can't you just be happy right now? Everything is fine, or flip it, you're exhausted, you're low. You're carrying something heavy, and your baby is bright, alert, wanting to play, making sounds, looking for you, and you go through the motions, you perform the interaction. But it doesn't match anything you actually feel. And if you're like me, you've probably never thought of either of those situations as harmful, because they're so normal. But here's what's happening. Babies regulate their emotions by borrowing from you. They don't have the ability yet to manage what they feel on their own. Their nervous system is literally looking to yours as a reference point. Is this situation okay? Is the world safe right now? Should I be calm or should I be alert? And when what you show them on the outside doesn't match what they actually need in that moment, whether that's your impatience when they're struggling or your flatness when they're reaching for joy, their emotional regulation system gets a confusing signal. And a confused signal is harder to recover from than a clear one. Even a hard emotion, clearly expressed and then resolved, is easier for a baby's nervous system to process than an emotion that's being masked. Your baby isn't looking for you to be perfect. They're looking for you to be real. Your baby doesn't need your happiness. They need your honesty expressed safely. If you're watching this and something keeps landing, something keeps making you pause and think back to a specific moment, that feeling is the whole point. That's not guilt working on you. That's awareness opening up. And this is exactly what I make, not generic parenting advice. The underneath stuff, the things nobody tells you in the hospital. Number 6 is one that's going to feel uncomfortable because it's wrapped in something that looks exactly like enthusiasm. Your baby does something new. They grab something. They make a new sound. They pull themselves up for the first time. And your response is immediate camera out, voice up, excitement full volume. Oh my God, did you see that? Do it again, do it again, and I love that response. I really do. The love in it is real, but watch what happens to the baby in that moment. 1 second ago, they were in a state of pure discovery, quiet concentration, internal focus. I did something, something happened. I feel something about this, and then your reaction floods in, loud, fast, overwhelming, and the baby's face changes, not to matching excitement, often to something that looks like startled confusion, or they look away, or they start to fuss, because you accidentally interrupted the most important part of the experience, the moment where they get to feel it for themselves, first, before it becomes yours, before it becomes a video, before it becomes the thing they performed for you. If you're like me, you've probably captured 100 moments on your phone that you also weren't present for. Because presence and recording are different things. And your baby who measures love in attention, not documentation, knows the difference. When was the last time your baby experienced something new and you just watched? No phone, no reaction, just witness. Number 7 doesn't sound like it affects your baby at all, but it changes everything about how you see them and they feel that shift. Your friend's baby is already walking, sleeping through the night, has 4 teeth, says 3 words. And your baby is doing none of those things. And something happens in you, a quiet anxiety, a subtle shift, and you start looking at your baby differently, not with less love, but with a new kind of watching, an evaluating watching. Are you behind? Are you okay? Should we be doing something? And I want to tell you something that took me a long time to fully understand. Your baby feels that shift in how you look at them, not the thought, not the worry, but the quality of your attention. There is a difference between being looked at with wonder and being looked at with measurement. And babies whose entire emotional world is built on reading your face feel that difference in their body. The baby who is looked at with worry starts to carry that worry, even when they have no idea what the worry is about, even when nothing is wrong. Because if the person who is supposed to find me wonderful is finding something to be concerned about, then maybe I am something to be concerned about. Your baby doesn't need to be on someone else's timeline. They need to be seen clearly on their own. This one is quiet, but once you see it, you'll see it everywhere. Your baby is upset in public. They're crying, fussing, reaching for things, making noise. And your first response, before you even turn to your baby, is to apologize to the adults around you. Sorry, she's tired. I'm so sorry, and I understand why, completely. But notice the order of that. First, the adults, then the baby. First managing how other people feel about the situation, then managing how your baby feels inside the situation. And your baby, who is in the middle of a genuine storm, who is overwhelmed, dysregulated, needing you, watches you turn away from them first, to apologize for them, to manage the room before you manage them. And it's such a small thing. It's barely a moment. But repeated across months and years, it teaches something. When I'm struggling, The first concern is how it looks, not how it feels, not to me. Your baby's feelings are not an inconvenience to be apologized for. They are a communication to be received. And the person they need to receive it first is you, not the stranger at the next table, you. How many times have you managed the room before managing your baby? How many times have you turned to them second? Almost done. But this second to last one is something that happens every single night, and it has almost nothing to do with sleep schedules. Bedtime. You're tired. They're tired. Everyone is done. And somewhere along the way, sleep became a logistical problem to solve. The schedule, the routine, the wake windows, the nap math, and in the middle of all of that strategy, the actual moment gets lost. The moment where your baby transitions from the world to the quiet, from stimulation to stillness. And what they need in that transition is not the perfect conditions for sleep. It's you, unhurried, soft, present, not moving through the steps to get to the end. Just there, slow, breathing, because sleep for a baby is not just rest. It's a daily practice in letting go. And letting go is only possible when you feel safe enough to do it. When the last feeling before unconsciousness is I am held, I am safe, my person is here. The babies who struggle most with sleep are often not the ones with the wrong schedule. They're the ones who haven't yet received enough consistent reassurance that the letting go is safe. Bedtime isn't a problem to solve. It's a relationship to inhabit. And here we are, the last one. I saved this one for last because everything else on this list in some way comes back to this. There is a version of parenting that looks, from the outside, like everything. Fed, clean, safe, stimulated, loved, all the boxes checked, all the needs met, and yet, something is missing. Not from what the parent does, from what the parent brings. Because you can do every right thing while being emotionally somewhere else entirely, somewhere in your grief, somewhere in your anxiety, somewhere in the exhaustion that has become so deep it feels like a part of your personality now. And your baby, who doesn't care about what you do nearly as much as who you are when you do it, feels that absence, not as abandonment, but as a kind of loneliness that has no name yet. The loneliness of being in the room with someone who isn't fully there. And I think this is the one nobody wants to talk about because it asks something harder than changing a behavior. It asks you to look at yourself, your own healing, your own regulation, your own capacity to be present. And I'm not saying that to make you feel like you're failing. I'm saying it because it's the most important thing I know about early parenting. A parent who tends to their own inner world even imperfectly, even slowly changes the entire emotional atmosphere of their home. Not because they perform better, but because they arrive differently. And your baby, who is wiring themselves around you right now, in real time feels every single degree of that arrival. When you walk into the room where your baby is, what are you bringing with you? So here we are. 10 things. 10 quiet, invisible, ordinary moments that carry more weight than anyone told you they did. And I want you to notice something. Every single one of them has a repair, not a fix, a repair. Because babies are not waiting for you to be perfect. The research, all of it, points to the same thing. It's not the miss that shapes them. It's what you do after the miss, the turning back, the I see you now, the breath you take before you pick them up. The moment you pause and stay in their feeling instead of rushing them out of it. Those moments of return are not small corrections. They are the architecture of who your child will become. So the next time your baby looks at you, that wide, trusting, completely unguarded look, know that they are not asking you to be more. They are asking you to be here. Just here. That is the whole thing. That is everything. If something in this video shifted something in you, share it with someone who's in the middle of it right now. A new parent. A tired parent. A parent who is trying, because understanding is the thing that changes everything. And I'll see you in the next one.